What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Loft Sports podcast. Your boys are back after recording a sweet 16 preview last night. As always, I'm your host, Brian Finnegan, joined by my guy, Tom Schultz. Tom, what's going on?
It's good, man. Start of a new week. We had some good games at the end of the week for March Madness. Excited to talk about these running backs. All's good.
All right, folks. Yep, tonight we're bringing you episode 2 of our 2026 NFL Draft Series. Tonight we'll be focusing on the top running backs in the upcoming draft. So we'll go through about 5 or so of them, discuss some strengths, weaknesses, and which players might fit best on specific teams. So before we get into it, Tom, question I'm going to hit you with right off the bat. So has anything stood out to you overall in watching this running back class? There's a belief out there that basically, right, you've got Jeremiyah Love at the top, one, maybe the best player in the entire draft class. And then behind him at running back is a lot of just supporting characters, so to speak. Do you believe outside of Love, there's possibly some other potential future RB1s in this draft class?
I definitely think that there are guys who could carry the workload of an RB1. Two in particular that we'll talk about. I mean, Love's in a category of his own. He's one of the top running backs in this draft. He's in like the Bijan category of I think he's going to have that type of impact on games, and we'll talk about him when we break him down in a minute. But I think there are two, maybe three running backs who could be considered future, starting running backs or RB1s. But I think each one of these guys are going to need a complementary piece, or they might be that complementary piece. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We've got 6, 7 guys I think we're going to talk about here tonight. And each of them, for the most part, were guys I enjoyed watching, and they're going to bring something different to an offense. So again, like it's going to depend on what your team needs. But there's something for I think every team out there, maybe with the exception of that, really shifty in space, lightning Bucky Irving, Devon A-Chain type guy. I think outside of guys like that in this class, there's a little bit of everything for everybody.
All right, so we'll get right into it. Jeremiyah Love, right, the number 1 rated running back. So Love's coming into the draft at 6 feet even, about 212 pounds, right, out of the University of Notre Dame. Go Irish. He spent 3 seasons at Notre Dame, ran for 2,800 yards and 36 touchdowns there. Last season at Notre Dame, ran for 1,300 yards, averaged 6.9 yards per carry, had 18 touchdowns on the ground. He was an absolute beast at Notre Dame this past year. At the scouting combine, right, he 3.6 40-yard dash. And we're looking at a guy right here who could potentially be a top 10 pick in the draft. So I'll turn it over to you now, Tom, to talk about strengths, weaknesses, and if he compares to another running back currently in the league.
So I on my big board right now, he's 3. I think every time we talk about running backs, it's what type of impact you can have on the game, whether it's a Saquon type or a Bijan type. If you can get a guy like that, I think they're worth a top 10 pick. And this is coming from a guy who I'm going to talk about a lot of these running backs and value and where you take them. I mean, this is a guy that if he went 5th to the Giants, which has been rumored, I think it could be justified. I don't think there are many players in this draft that are better than him, and I don't think there are I don't know how many offensive guys there are going to be that are as impactful as him coming out in this draft. So, I mean, when you look at him as a running back, he has high-level patience and vision. I mean, he'll wait for a hole to open. He's got home run speed, an ability to take it to the house anytime he touches the football. I mean, he ran a 4.63 40 at the combine. Absurd for a player who can stop and cut at the speed that this guy can do it. His balance, his body control is excellent. Again, quick change of pace, quick change of direction, has that great jump cut, and he can do it like multiple times. You get penetration, he'll do it past 2 guys and hits the seam and he goes. He runs strong, can break arm tackles, weak tackles. I wouldn't say he's a bruiser running back, but he is such a powerful lower body. Arm tackles just won't do it. He's the type of guy that can just create something out of nothing. If it looks like the hole's not there, he'll bounce it out wide and has that quickness, agility, and speed to hit the edge and go. We'll talk about guys who have the ability to do some of that, but not all of it. He has the ability to do all of it. He can run past you. He can run through you. He can run around you. He's a willing blocker, good understanding of what to do and how to block. I think he does need to improve on that. But again, if we're taking this guy top 10 overall, if I'm a team or an offense coordinator, I'm not worried about what he can do as a blocker. That's going to be an added benefit. Odds are he's going to be out and and catching passes versus blocking. To the pass catching side of the game, he's got good hands. I don't think, and you can touch on this, you watched him a lot more than I did. Um, I don't think Notre Dame used him a lot in the passing game, but like he had a play against A&M where they ran him on a wheel route and he just got hit in stride. And it's going to be really tough for linebackers to just try to cover this guy in a situation of a wheel route or just a flare out where them trying to close him down in man coverage. He's going to be such a mismatch. He had great production over 2 years at Notre Dame, can do everything you want in a 3-down back. I'm not really scared of the notion of the competition he played, which was brought up this year, not as much last year, which is always funny. But I mean, yeah, he struggled against Miami. I put that more down to the play calling of what Notre Dame did that day versus him as a running back. And he also split carries with Jadarian Price, and if he's not there, I mean, God knows what type of records this guy could have broke, not just at Notre Dame, but at but college football as a whole. I mean, if you want to ask me his weaknesses, I don't really know what the weaknesses are. You know, maybe it'll be like an Ashton Genty type thing where if he's put in a situation where he doesn't have a great offensive line, does that patience and ability to read things, is that sped up and maybe he doesn't make the right decisions? That's potential. But I mean, this guy as an athlete and as a ball carrier, he's up there with, we want to talk about comparisons. Like he reminds me of Saquon. He reminds me of Saquon with the ability to make cuts, beat guys. And then once he makes that first or second cut and he can get into the open field, his speed is startling for a player like that. So again, we are talking complete package as a running back. I know, again, you're talking to a guy who didn't want the Cowboys to take Ezekiel Elliott at 5 or 4, wherever they took him. But this guy has everything you want in a running back. So yeah, I think he's going to go top 10. I would actually, at this point, I'd be shocked if he doesn't.
Yeah, Love as a pass catcher, he had good hands at Notre Dame. I'd have to go back and look at the stats. I'd be shocked though if he caught like 30 passes in a season, because they didn't really throw it to him too often out of the backfield. But yeah, I mean, I'm on record. I think I've said it on this podcast. I mean, Notre Dame football fan. I've been watching Notre Dame football for 25 some odd years. He's the best skill position player I've ever seen come out of Notre Dame. How phenomenal in the past couple of years. And yeah, man, speaking of, and again too, to add to your point, yeah, he might not be a great, as polished yet as a pass blocker. What running backs coming out if the draft going into the NFL is going to be as polished as a pass blocker to begin with, right? But with that being said, right, you're not drafting a guy that high based on his pass blocking. But yeah, with that being said, and he's a guy too, when we talk about his lower body strength, just how strong he actually is as a player, he's only going to get stronger, right, as he gets older and develops more. And yeah, I think he's a guy. I mean, do you see him developing into one, maybe like a top 5 running back in the league? Because that's really where I see him. Probably, maybe by the end of his second year, I really think he'll get to that point.
Yeah, I don't know when it might or might not happen, but he has all the makings of being a top 5 running back in football. He is a game changer in the same sense of, if we went back and looked, and I meant to and I didn't, maybe at some point when you're doing a breakdown I can look at it. But if we go back and look at however many running backs have been taken in the first round in the last 5 or 6 years, coming out, he's on par with virtually all of them. If you want to say Barkley, Bijan, even McCaffrey and what he can do, although they're different running backs in how they'd be utilized, he's as good as any of those guys if you're studying them coming out. So if people are telling you they have concerns about them, I'd love to hear them. I don't know what they are. To your point on his receptions, 28 catches as a sophomore, 27 as a junior. And this is still something that he can do and get better at. And it's probably something he'll be utilized better at the NFL. To your point, he's got good hands. It's not like he can't catch a football. He's got good hands. It's just something that Notre Dame didn't need to utilize with him.
And let's talk about some team fits here. So, I mean, you just spoke about the Giants at length there. Yeah, I think the Giants would be a really good fit for him. I mean, him and Scadaboo in the same backfield, playing behind Jackson Dart. I mean, that's a solid 1-2 combo right there. I have Tennessee here. I have him. He could potentially go at number 4. I really believe that Tennessee, right, they spent a ton of money on defense and free agency. I think they're definitely going to go offense in the first round, whether that's him or whether that's one of the receivers. I could see that being a really good fit there, him pairing with Tony Pollard. And then I got Washington here, which, Washington seems to have really paid not much attention to their running back core over the past couple of years. I think he'd be an excellent bell cow back playing behind Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the first 10 picks right now because I think those three are spot on. I think he could go to New Orleans at 8, depending on what they want to do and who's on the board. And like the Bengals, I could see them taking him at 10. I think anybody that wants to improve their offense, or if you just value him as a football player, if you're just looking at your board and you go, yeah, I could take this guy or I could take that guy, those guys might be 7, 8, 9 on my board, especially a team like the Saints or a team like the Bengals, and again, depending on where Love would be on their board, if Love is a top 3, top 5 player, you might just say the value is too good. And even now, we're looking at second running back contracts, and they're not breaking the bank anymore. You're not forced to pay these guys hand over fist to keep them with your football team. So maybe a team like the Saints say, you know what, we signed 1 or 2 in free agency, but now we can add Love. He's a legitimate playmaker. We'll get him for 5 years on a rookie deal. And if he's good enough and we have to reset the running back market, it's not the end of the world. We were just talking about that with Breece Hall, whether you pay Breece Hall $14, $15 million. Now, the hope is that Jeremiyah Love is making more than that and he's in that top 5 running back category. But if you're taking him and he's a top 5 running back, he's probably that impactful for you, so I'm sure you'd be happy keeping him. But yeah, I think any of those teams and anybody in the top 10, I mean, I've thrown it around with my friends who are Cowboy fans. If he was there at 12, I'd be really hard-pressed not to take him at 12 just based off of the value. It'd make no sense in teams in terms of a need. But I mean, when we're talking about a player that's a top 3 player, dropping to you at 11 or 12 the Dolphins wouldn't with A-Chain, but I'm just saying if you're a team that you need a running back and even you're picking after Dallas or after 10 and you value him that highly, you could trade up to where the Browns are. You could trade up to 10 where the Bengals are. He has the ability to have that type of impact on football games. So yeah, I think he goes top 10, whether it's to a team there now or whether somebody trades up and goes and gets him. I'd be shocked if he doesn't go in the top 10.
Yeah, at this point, right, it feels like even a team like the Bengals, like you just mentioned at 10, right? We've spoken at length about how awful their defense was last year, how they really need to add more talent to that defense. Well, Jeremiyah Love staring you at the face at number 10, right? The Bengals, all they really have is Chase Brown. I think they got P. Ryan behind him. I mean, Jeremiyah Love, I mean, putting him behind Joe Burrow with those receivers, I mean, that offense could be unstoppable.
And again, he'll help you if you don't think your line is great. He can help you in other ways. You can dump a ball out to him out of the backfield, run screens, do lots of stuff to help take pressure off of other guys on your offense.
All right, let's go to the next running back here, but we're staying at the same school, Notre Dame. Jadarian Price, so Jeremiyah Love's running mate. He's 5'11", 209 pounds. He's looked like he was far and away the number 2 running back coming at least into the scouting combine. We'll get into Mike Washington in a little bit. He might be like RB2, RB3, right? Depending on who you listen to right now. So he spent 3 seasons at Notre Dame playing alongside Jeremiyah Love. So he was never the clear-cut running back 1, but when he was called upon, he made an impact. So in his career at Notre Dame, ran for nearly 1,700 yards. He also contributed on special teams. Handled some kickoffs. He returned a few for touchdowns in 2023 and 2025. So he has experience doing that. Maybe teams will call upon him in the NFL to return kicks. Never returned punts, but maybe that's something he could potentially do. So, Tom, let's break down Jadarian Price, strengths and weaknesses, and what your outlook is for him.
Yeah, it's funny when I was watching Notre Dame, and I didn't watch Notre Dame a lot during the year. So when I'm watching Love, in comes Jadarian Price. And I texted a buddy who's a Notre Dame fan, like halfway through watching Love. I was like, man, you guys are in great shape. You got this guy Price after Love. And he was like, dude, I hate to break it to you. He entered the draft too. Like he ain't coming back. And it blew my mind because that's how impressed I was with Price. I was like, this guy's going to be the next one up for Notre Dame. We'll be talking about him as RB1 in a couple of years. So it's unfortunate that he had Jeremiyah Love in front of him, but I think it speaks volumes of what I think of him as a player just based off of that. He's still RB2 to me. And another guy, he's a north-south runner. He's going to get forward, and he's got a great burst of speed. He's another one, incredibly quick change of direction, has one of those quick jump cuts. If there's pressure, if the hole closes, he can make a cut to find the new hole or bounce it outside. Has good balance. He runs really hard. Another one, a really strong lower body, breaks tackles. You're going to have to really wrap this guy up. He's quick enough to bump runs out wide, and then quick enough to get to the edge. He was a 4.49 guy at the combine. I actually thought he'd run faster. He looks faster on film, but he's a guy who he doesn't have that straight home run speed. And what I mean by that is, I think if you're 30 yards and in, and this was evident by watching him at Notre Dame this year, if he finds a crease and hits it, he's going to score a touchdown. When it's a little further out, he might get chased down and he might get run down. And he might not score a touchdown, but still has speed to kind of create things and make big splash plays that you're wanting. Um, the questions with him is, can he be a viable pass catching option on third down? Again, wasn't utilized a lot, and didn't look like he had the most consistent hands. He isn't a big bruising running back despite running strong and breaking tackles. So I thought he struggled a little bit in short yardage situations. He can return kicks, which will be a positive for teams who are looking to draft him. And again, like, he's going to be a guy who needs to maybe understand the blocking side of the game more. Love blocked, I think, a little bit more than Price, and Price very much could be coming into a situation where he is RB2 to start. So that might mean they're going to look to do more things with him on third down versus, what Love might have to do in the situation that he's in. But I think there is a world where this guy can be an RB1. It just may not be day one. You might draft this guy, and that's why I'm curious to see where he goes. He's cropped up in mocks at the end of the first round. And I think if you're taking him at the end of the first round, we are now talking about a guy who's probably going to be RB1 for you. But one of those teams has been a team like the Seahawks. I don't know if I love that at 32, but if you pair him with Zach Charbonnet, now I like the idea of him more of, he probably could do what Kenneth Walker did, and Charbonnet could still keep his role and you'll be okay. But again, if we're talking about a team in the back end of the 20s taking him, or a team trading in to take him and looking to be RB1 from day one, I think you can do a lot of that stuff, but I still would feel more comfortable if you had a guy who could help him in third down situations.
Yeah, Jadarian Price, he was a guy who, for the most part, he performed really well. Really going against how he was utilized at Notre Dame. Some of that had to do with Jeremiyah Left playing in front of him. Some of that had to do with Mike Denbrock, the OC, which I'm not going to get into on the show. But yeah, he was a guy who, when he was called upon to, catch balls out of the backfield, I mean, he actually made a big play coming out and getting upfield. Maybe not the best blocker right now, but yeah, definitely a guy that I could see. Maybe there could be potential as an RB1 someday. Not right away. I think, I could definitely see him. I think he could definitely jump in right away as an RB2. And yeah, I mean, Seattle folks, you're going to hear us say Seattle, I think, a lot tonight on this show, right? We know they lost Kenneth Walker. They're definitely going to be a team looking for a running back. I thought the Minnesota Vikings actually would be a great fit for him too. Coming in, pairing him with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones could still be the RB1. They have, who's the other guy too in Minnesota? The backup, Jordan Mason, I think, is there too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It would be a little bit of a crowded backfield there, but I think he could be the long-term piece once Minnesota wants to do away with Aaron Jones. I had Cincinnati here too. I think pairing him with Chase Brown, I think that would be a really good combination. I even had Vegas here. Vegas wanted to go with a really young running backfield split.
Yeah.
Genty,
They would
Price.
they'd complement each other very well.
Yep, they would. But yeah, and I agree. I think he's probably going to be, I think, a day 2 pick. Maybe can get into the middle of round 3 if teams don't really value that running back position. But yeah, he's a guy who, definitely, I think, and I agree. I think he is the RB2 of this draft class.
Yeah, I think second round pick for him at the latest. If he makes it to the third round, whoever gets him, you better be celebrating, because that's fantastic value. I don't know where he'll end up on my board in when it's all said and done, but he'll be a top 100 player. The question is, will he be a top 50 player for me? There's a world where he is. I mean, again, when you go and look at the limited, maybe not limited opportunities. Notre Dame ran the ball a lot with both these guys, but I mean, he could have been the starting running back on any number of teams, a number that are in the playoff. And when you look at the Miami game, a game that Jeremiyah Love really struggled with, Jadarian Price played really well in that football game, probably played better than Love. And we're talking about multiple first-round picks on that defense, multiple defensive guys who are going to go in the first 2 days of this draft. And Jadarian Price was as good, if not better, than Love. So you're going to get yourself a really good running back with Jadarian Price. Just maybe a little bit of patience, or just make sure you have a guy who can complement him and do the stuff that he struggles with, and you'll get productivity out of him in year 1.
Yeah, of course, Seattle, right, winning the Super Bowl. So they're at pick 64 in the second round. I'm just trying to look at teams. You know what? Actually, what I'd be intrigued by? Jacksonville at 56, right?
Yeah.
They lost Travis Etienne to the Saints. So there's a hole there in the backfield.
That's a very good shot. Even the Giants, right? We're talking about the Giants with Love. They might look at pricing. Oh, we're cool taking Price in the second round if we don't feel 100% on Love at 5. Like, there could be a world where they think that too. but he's a really talented running back. Yeah.
All right, let's go to our third running back here on the list. So Mike Washington Jr., 6'2", 223 pounds out of Arkansas, right? He's a guy who he moved around a lot over the years, right? So he originally played at Buffalo from 2021 to 2023, and he was part of a committee there. So what he did was he transferred over to New Mexico State, where he got more touches in 2024, and he ran for over 700 yards and 8 touchdowns. Then this past season, he transfers again to Arkansas and has best season of his college career, runs for over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's looked at the time as like, maybe like RB4, RB5, something like that. The scouting combine comes around and he lights it up, right? He runs a 4.33 at the 40-yard dash, which is the best for running backs. And all of a sudden, it seems like he's popping up on everybody's radar. And now he might be the RB2 in this draft, overpriced maybe in some general manager's eyes. So let's talk Mike Washington here. Strengths, weaknesses, and your outlook for him.
Yeah, this is a kid that's done himself a ton of favor. I mean, he's a kid who's challenged himself 3 years at Buffalo, then went to New Mexico State, and then Arkansas, and had his best year at Arkansas. Taylor Green helped with that. The fact that they could do the read option stuff absolutely helped, but this is a patient runner. He'll wait for a hole to develop. He has home run speed, home run ability, 4.33 at the combine. We talked about it. He hits a hole with speed. He runs strong enough to break arm tackles, runs with enough power, has great agility, can change directions like these other guys, make small little cuts, find spaces. He had a play against Tennessee where the Tennessee defensive line gets penetration. He does a double jump cut around 2 Tennessee guys, and then he's off for a 20-yard gain. He's not as explosive going east to west or trying to stretch stuff out. He can do it, and with a better offensive line, maybe he gets a little bit more time to hit that edge and utilize his speed. But he had a lot of negative plays at Arkansas. Some of that was the blocking. Some of it is he just isn't fast like that. He's north-south, not east-west. He's a very vanilla in his route running. He's going to have to add more to that if he wants to be a better in the pass catching game. He's a willing blocker. I have questions if he can do it consistently in the NFL. Shows a good foundation. There's games like the LSU game where he has 2 or 3 really good reps where he holds up well, pressure comes, holds his ground, anchors well, doesn't get knocked off the spot, but he doesn't do it consistently. Needs to take care of the ball better. 3 fumbles in 2025, had 10 in 3 seasons. It's something that is a concern. Right now, he probably isn't a 3-down back or even a 3rd down back in the NFL. Doesn't do the 3rd down stuff really well. When I watched him, I kind of saw Latavius Murray with the way he plays. A lot of people bring up Chris Carson. Kind of think he's just a little bit quicker than what Chris Carson was as a running back, but I'm probably undervaluing that speed. But he's another guy that I think he could be an RB1 in this football league, but he's going to need a complementary back to do the stuff that he struggles with, whether that's pass catching, whether that's blocking, just to help supplement where he struggles. Because if he's asked to do that stuff, especially in day one, I think he could struggle doing that stuff in the NFL.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm looking at just the numbers from Arkansas this past season.
Yeah.
Washington and Taylor Green, right? They combined for 1,700 rushing yards last year and 16 rushing touchdowns. Phenomenal. And Arkansas was awful last year.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, Mike Washington, yeah, he really impressed me at the combine. And, I was able to watch some film of him too. I was like, man, he's quick. I'll tell you that about Mike Washington. Team fits for me, a lot of the same backs that I had for Jadarian Price here. So Cincinnati. I had Denver here kind of like as a sneaky pick here, maybe, right? I know they brought back J.K. Dobbins, but, to pair with Harvey. But, I think Mike Washington here might be a guy they look for maybe in like their late 2nd round pick. Again, Minnesota, Seattle, Vegas. I had the Saints here too, just because I don't know what's going to end up happening with Alvin Kamara. I don't know if they're going to keep him another year with Achane, or maybe they'll move on from him. And if they do move on from him, maybe Mike Washington could be a good fit there, playing with Achane as kind of like maybe that 3rd down back type role.
Yeah, I think any team that is comfortable doing read option stuff, this could be a guy for you, because I think the threat of him with a potential running quarterback, like I kind of think Buffalo could be a fit for this guy too. Even though they have James Cook can do a lot of the stuff you want him to do, and then Mike Washington can kind of spell him, at least for the time being. I know they just re-signed him, so I don't know if that makes sense, but this is a guy that can come in and as a running back can give you a lot of things on day one, especially home run ability, especially hitting a crease, hitting a hole, and then just running by guys. He was a guy that I'm happy he performed well in the combine because he's one when you watch his film, you see it. And he's one of those guys that needed the combine to kind of show people how talented he was. But yeah, he's right up there with Jadarian Price. They're probably the two when talking about guys that could be at least starting running backs and carry the workload. Those are the two that can do it.
All right, let's go to the next back on our list here. So Roman Hemby, right, 6 foot, 207 pounds, Indiana. Right, he spent 4 seasons at Maryland before transferring over to Indiana for his last year of eligibility. Now his season at Indiana, right, runs for over 1,100 yards with 7 touchdowns, averaged 4.9 yards per carry, and helps them win the national championship. From everything I've seen about him, it's looking like he's probably a day 3 pick. Opinions, strengths, and weaknesses, and what his outlook could be.
Yeah, this guy should be a really good complementary back in this league. He runs with power, breaks arm and weak tackles, seems very capable in short yardage situation. Indiana had a great situation with him and Mendoza this year. Again, a lot of read option stuff, but when it was short yardage, he put his head down and he made sure he got where it needed to be. Has a really quick first step. Another one of those guys that he's probably a little bit quicker than you would expect when you watch him run because he's not the fastest. He doesn't have straight line speed. But if you come at him with a bad angle or if he needs to be a little bit patient as a runner, he can bounce stuff out wide. He has the ability to do that. Capable pass catcher, has good hands. He's a willing blocker. Probably needs to get a little bit stronger, but showed that he's capable of doing it. Doesn't have top level speed or quickness, and he isn't a high level athlete in general, but has that ability to put his foot in the ground, bounce things out wide, and then outrun guys to the spot. Very much a chain mover, in my opinion. I think he'll be a third down back in the NFL. A very good complementary back if that's what you're looking for. And yeah, he's a day 3 pick. And again, we're talking about value here. If we're talking about Hemby in the 5th round, 6th round, you're going to be really happy with what you get. If we're talking about him as a 3rd round pick, you're probably expecting a little bit more than him, but he'll come in and he'll do his job. And he did that very efficiently at Indiana. And his film held up pretty well too. He shows up in film doing what he needs to do very well.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the 5th round, and I was actually looking at the 5th round, the picks, how they're lining up right now. I could see maybe like early 5th round. There's a couple teams right in order there: Cleveland, Washington, Kansas City, Cleveland again, the Saints. That's kind of where I'm looking at. I had team fits for me. I had New Orleans, again, Minnesota, Seattle, Vegas, and Washington. I think a 5th round might really be the sweet spot for him right there. Early 5th round. And I had actually, I was looking at Baltimore for him too, just because he's from the Baltimore area. Maybe that's a guy who could spell Derrick Henry. Maybe they think that they can maybe develop behind him as Henry starts to wind down his career.
Even a team like Miami, right? Like they have A-Chain, he's quick, he's shifty. You're going to bring Hemby in on those 3rd down situations, let him block, let him go out and catch passes if A-Chain needs a break. I think that could be a good fit too there. This should be a good complementary back. Even if you took him in the 4th round, you're probably okay with it depending on what your need is. He plays hard. He's coming off a really good season, which is a positive. And yeah, a fun kid to study. And from everything you read, just a great kid overall. A kid that's very easy to root for.
All right, let's go to the next back we have on our list here. Emmett Johnson. All right, so Emmett Johnson's 5'10", 202 pounds out of Nebraska. He spent 4 seasons at Nebraska, and his senior year at Nebraska, they anoint him as the RB1, and he rewards them by running for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns. He added 370 yards receiving with 3 touchdowns to go along with that this past season, right? So he's first team All-American, first team All-Big Ten, wins Big Ten running back of the year. Then he enters the NFL Combine, and pretty disappointing performance, at least in the 40-yard dash. Runs a 4.56. So maybe some teams have soured on his maybe some teams might be thinking he doesn't have the breakaway speed that he needs to be an RB1. Maybe right now it's looking like he could be a late day 2 to early day 3 pick. But yeah, your opinion on Emmett Johnson, his strengths and his weaknesses.
Yeah, he'll be one that I don't really care about the combine. I don't really care how fast he ran. Like when again, this is a kid I did not watch this year. I didn't watch a lot of Nebraska. Sorry, Cornhusker fans. I loved watching this kid on film. He hits the hole in front of him and he hits it full force. He's got good speed. When hitting the hole, he's going to run fast, hard, runs with a low center of gravity. So he's got good balance, shows good quickness, ability to cut, change direction, great initial quickness. So to change directions, once he hits that hole, he can make a first man miss. Again, like with a lot of these guys we're talking about, it kind of feels like a prerequisite, right? Like when that pocket collapses, when the pressure comes, you need to have that quickness to bounce it outside. He can do that. Plays bigger than he is. He is not afraid of contact. He can contribute in the passing game, shows good hands. He lined up outside in the slot for Nebraska, so he's comfortable doing that stuff. He's a willing blocker, comfortable chipping, getting himself involved. Needs to get a little stronger to take guys on one-on-one, but holds up well when he did. Doesn't have top-line speed. We saw that at the combine. That doesn't really scare me because he's not going to be that. He's not going to be a home run threat if you're drafting this guy. If that's what you're looking for him to do, he's not going to do it. Wouldn't say he's super shifty in space. He's not going to beat guys in the open field. And while he shows a good running ability, he didn't look the best in short yardage situations. But while he lacks that big speed and physicality, he can still break off big chunk plays, whether it's 10, 15 yards at a time. I don't know what his ceiling is. If you're telling me this is an RB1 that carries the load for a team with a good complementary back, does that for 5 years and then isn't re-extended because he gets the snot beat out of him, I could see that. I mean, this is a kid that I think could go at the end of day 2. You get him at the start of round 3, you're really happy. And he's a really, really good complementary back for your starting guy. At worst, if you could have him with another good complementary guy, they will both get the job done. But he had a really good year at Nebraska, scored a lot of touchdowns, rushed for a lot of yards, was probably outside of one or two guys, their most impressive player on offense. And you read all the accolades off. He's earned the right to kind of put himself in the conversation of maybe not RB2, but if you're talking about Washington and you're talking about Price, Emmett Johnson's put himself in the conversation to at least be discussed with those guys, even if ultimately he probably doesn't get there because he doesn't have that big playability like the other two do.
Yeah, I'm looking at the actually, I'm looking at the third round right now, potentially for him. A couple teams again in a row here: Washington, Cincinnati, the Saints, the Chiefs. Maybe somewhere between 70 and 75, where Miami is. Maybe that could be the sweet spot for him. On my list, I had. Let's see, where's my list? I had New Orleans here again, Minnesota and Seattle. I really feel like could use some running back help, and then Washington, right? So I would project maybe Washington at 71. Maybe that could be an Emmett Johnson
Any
spot right there if they choose not to. Excuse me, Jeremiah Love is not available to them by the
any
time.
any any of the teams we're naming now, if they don't value running back that highly, this is going to be the guy they go for because this is a guy that can give you productivity at the level of the guys above where he is, and you just don't have to spend a potential top 100 pick on him. Maybe he sneaks in the top 100, and even then, it's arguably better value than what you'll get out of the other guys. Yeah, you're going to lack that home run ability, but if I'm drafting him, I probably already have that home run guy on my roster. He's going to do everything else. He's going to be the guy I hand the ball off to when we need a 5-minute drive, when we need 5-6 yard chunk plays, not the guy that's going to score the touchdown. He's a really good football player. He had the year he needed, and he did a great job raising his stock.
All right, let's go to the next back on our list here. Nicholas Singleton. So he's 6 feet, 224 pounds from Penn State, right? So he spent 4 years at Penn State in a committee with Katron Allen, right? Who's also a back in this upcoming draft. So his freshman season at Penn State, he runs for 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. He wins Big Ten Freshman of the Year. And so at this point, right, coming off his freshman year, he's on a lot of scouts' radars at the time as a maybe future top running back in the draft. Then his sophomore season wasn't too great, and there's a drop off there. Then his junior season runs for 1,000 yards again, 12 touchdowns, right? Penn State makes a deep playoff run in the CFP. And then his senior year, there's another dip in production. And on top of that, he gets hurt at the Senior Bowl. He needs surgery on his right foot, so he can't work out at the combine. And I don't think he's going to be able to work out at Penn State's pro day either. Looking like a guy at this point, maybe mid day 3 to late day 3, depending on how that foot's looking. As teams get ready to get into like mini camp, training camp, all that. Strengths, weaknesses for Nicholas Singleton.
This is a kid that at some point we'll find out what happened with him at Penn State this year, and I'm very, very interested. He just was not used his senior year. And whatever he was his junior year, it sure looks like he just doesn't have that anymore. He's comfortable as a pass catcher, has a good feel as a running back when route running, when his quarterback bails out of the pocket. He does a good job at helping extend plays and find space, and he can sit in it. So that's a very big positive for him. His junior year, he looked like he had speed to just run by guys. He could get to the edge and run by guys. His Big Ten championship game against Oregon, he was awesome in that game. I didn't see that speed this year. I don't know if he was hampered with other injuries. I don't know if he's just been beat up since his freshman year, and he's had a lot of carries. I mean, he's had over 600 carries in his college career. That's a lot. But the speed he had as a freshman, and even that felt like it came back as a junior, isn't necessarily there. He's still a touchdown threat. He had 13 as a senior, 12 the year before, 12 as a freshman. So in and around the red zone, he's still a threat. He's returned kicks, which will help his value. But again, he didn't seem to have the same explosiveness he had his junior year. He had 2 rushes for over 50 yards his senior year, which you would have never expected when you looked at what he was and what he did well as a junior. He also just wasn't used a lot. So this is a kid that I think if he gets drafted, especially on day 3, you are drafting him hoping to have the running back that he was as a junior, as a freshman, because that running back could potentially be an RB1. I think there's a long way to go before he's that. Right now, he's a complimentary back. Based off of what I saw out of him his senior year and the lack of use, I mean, we're talking a day 3 pick, and we're talking a 5th, 6th round pick if I want to take this kid, unless I get the medical reports back and everything looks good. Him not being able to work out, I think, is really going to hurt him. Maybe it won't. Maybe there are teams that are banking that what he did as a junior is better than what he did as a senior, and that running back is still there somewhere. I would probably take Allen over him if I was drafting. I probably wouldn't touch either one of these running backs based off of every guy we've talked about before I would take, and the one we're going to talk next I would take before I took Singleton or Allen. Again, I think it's really harsh when we talk about these guys who have lame duck head coaches, and James Franklin was a lame duck head coach. His quarterback got hurt in the middle of the year. He looked better. Allen looked better after they fired Franklin, but there just isn't enough that I saw this year, and it's probably not fair to talk about that. I watched 3 of his games from his junior year, and it was awesome, but and we don't have the behind-the-scenes stuff that these teams do. I'm sure if I was working in a front office and I could talk to Penn State or people around Penn State or people in his camp and got assurances that maybe he was banged up this year, it might change my opinion, but he just unfortunately did himself no favors. He's probably better off coming out last year. If he comes out last year as a junior, he's probably a day 2 pick, and he puts himself in a better situation. Unfortunately, something happened at Penn State where they just did not trust him at all, and that had a major impact on him this year.
All right, let's get to the last running back on our list here. So Jonah Coleman. So he's 5'9", 220 pounds, out of Washington University. He spent his freshman and sophomore seasons at Arizona, right? So he runs for a combined 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns at Arizona. He transfers over to Washington his junior and senior years, runs for 1,000 yards his junior year with 10 touchdowns, only ran for 600 yards in his senior season, right? He had a midseason injury that slowed him down, but he did score 15 touchdowns. So Jonah Coleman, strengths, weaknesses, and any outlook you saw from him on tape.
Yeah, again, another kid I really enjoyed watching. 10 touchdowns in his first 6 games, I think. At one point, he led the country in points scored and touchdowns. So that's very impressive. Has a quick first step that helps him hit the hole. When he gets to the hole and he can hit it, he hits it with speed. Although he's not the quickest runner, he can get to the edge as well. Doesn't have a ton of speed past that, so he's a little quicker east-west than he is north-south. Patient runner. Will wait for the hole to develop. Because he isn't a great athlete, if it's not there, he really can't create something from nothing. Was very productive in college, especially his 2 years at Washington. He's really comfortable as a pass blocker. You mentioned before how many of these guys are going to come in and be a polished pass blocker. He's probably, in my opinion, at least of the guys I've watched, the best pass blocker in this running back class, which I think will go a long way for him. He's comfortable catching the ball out of the backfield. Good, not great speed. He isn't the biggest running back, but runs bigger. This guy projects to be a 3rd down complementary back. But if you can get him doing the stuff he does well, if you can get him to do it well for you, he's going to be a really solid 3rd down back. He should be a day 3 pick. He should be a fifth, sixth round pick. But again, you might draft this guy just based off of his pass pro. For his ability to come in, have a really good understanding. He probably needs to get a little bit stronger, but as a pass blocker, he has a really good understanding of what to do. And he can be a little shifty in space. He's not going to break tackles. He's not going to run by guys, but he can be shifty when he gets himself out into space. I haven't fully watched him. I wish I had the chance to watch a couple more of his games because I was liking what I was seeing. But yes, this guy is a fun prospect who will definitely fit whatever role it is NFL teams are looking for him to do.
All right, folks. In closing, Tom, anybody else you want to touch on running back wise that we did not speak about?
Yeah, two guys. One guy I know you like, Desmond Claiborne from Wake Forest, had a really good combine. I haven't watched him yet, but anytime you stand out on the combine, it forces people to go back and revisit your film and see if it matches. And Le'Veon Moss is a guy that played at Texas A&M for a long time. He was at A&M for 4 years. Did not have the best senior year. Had a good junior year. Rushed for 765 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's a guy that shows some traits that people might like. Keep an eye out on him. Had a pretty good career at A&M, although a disappointing senior year, which is why I don't think he's getting talked about as much as maybe teams might like him.
All right, folks. Thanks for hanging in the loft with us. The official Loft Sports podcast can be found wherever you consume your podcasts. Check out our website at loftsportus.com. Tommy's continuing to add scouting reports for the draft. I've been adding a new baseball preview every day. Please check out our articles, rate and review our articles. Please let us know how we're doing. Feedback is very important for us to know if we're doing something right. Maybe we're doing something wrong. Maybe we need to be better. Please let us know. I'm going to be dropping my baseball preview looking like Wednesday morning, as the official start of Major League Baseball season is that night. Friday, we will be back with our draft series. We'll be breaking down the wide receiver class for this upcoming draft. So follow Loft Sports on X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow us on all 5 social platforms. We are under @Loft Sports USA. Please rate and review us on whichever platform you listen to your podcasts. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We will talk to you soon.